Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, investment analyst, economist, and venture capitalist, Morty Davis is Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical, political, economic, and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on the upcoming presidential debate is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Welcome back. I'm delighted once again to be with you Wednesday evening, 6:30, every week. And this week is rather exciting and special because we have something that we've never seen anything like, I don't imagine, in the history of the human race. A debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, both of them promising to make this a better world and to be more rewarding for the people, the American people, and hopefully make this whole world a better place. I'm delighted with my performance, especially in light of the dire prospects I had when I started out. I dropped out. I did take 400 companies of finance, 400 startup companies, especially in biotech and pharmaceutical, because I wanted to deliver cures for the world, particularly for my own kids. I had 4 daughters, and through my wife, who was the most special person I ever knew, and I don't know anybody that doesn't share that view that got to know her. So I'm proud of what I've done. I've tried to do something that I think we should all work to do, and that is not only to make it better for my kids, not only in material ways, but in value ways, and make it a better world. And my goal is still that. So even though I've made lots of money during my career, as I said, I raised $3 billion for small companies, early stage startup companies, and created tens of thousands of jobs, all of which was something I'm proud of. And all the money I made, while my contemporaries, my classmates at Harvard Business School, my successful cohorts and fellow workers on Wall Street made lots of money as well. It was very good times, a good portion of the life that I've lived. But I have to tell you, the best money I've ever spent, while my fortunate friends, the winners, they lived enviable lives. They had mansions which were enviable. They had yachts that were impressive, and if you looked at their yachts or their private jets that waited for them whenever they wanted to go somewhere, you thought these guys are going to be the happiest people in the world. And in some respects, they were, if material things can make you happy. But I don't know that I've ever spent any money that's been more rewarding for me, in that it made the people around me more satisfied with life, more uplifted, improve the quality of their life, their education, their relationship with their kids, and so forth. It's in that light that I wrote this book that you see right in front of you, Happiness Guaranteed or Your Misery Back. It's a sort of funny title book. It's meant to entice you to read the book, but it really is, how do I make this world a happier place? If I could do anything for my kids, I'd like to make it a better place for them and for their children. And I'm sad in some respects, in many respects, that I don't believe that I did enough to make it a better place than what my father and his contemporaries and his forefathers did to make it a happier place. Happier in the sense that it really counts, not more yachts and more private jets and bigger homes and all the things that we see on television that promise to make us happy. We've made lots of progress, and that's gratifying, especially in all of the advancements we've made in delivering knowledge and education through the internet and through now the latest is artificial intelligence. We did make a lot of progress, but I don't know that we made for a better life for all our people. There's so much friction between us. There's so much dissatisfaction between us. The goals have seemingly been to just become more profitable as societies, to grow GDP. And in that sense, the United States, amongst all the nations, has been the most successful. We definitely the fastest growing economy, and we deliver the most goods and things that make us happy, supposedly. When we go to our supermarkets or to buy things at our department store or whatever, nobody matches the United States. And yet there's so much friction, so much, I can't even describe what's going on now with the anti-Semitism that's out front. We've always had an anti-Semitism, especially during Hitler's time. And I thought after the Second World War and after the Holocaust, we'd learn something, we'd be better. But somehow, some ways, we as people have been less successful in bringing the warmth between us, the caring for each other between us. The thing that makes true happiness, as it would be if we were family, if we were all on the same ship and had the same goals to make our lives, each of our lives, more satisfactory. So, in that light, before we get into the nitty gritty of this week's problems, and there are always problems, unfortunately, we don't seem to have overcome some of the basics of just living a good life with our neighbors, with our kids, with our relatives, with our contemporaries, within society, within this ship of earth. So what I want to urge for all of you as a beginning is get a copy of this book, Happiness Guaranteed, because I do mean it. It will guarantee that you will be happier. Will it cure all the issues that I just brought up. In a way, Israel, which has gone through hell, has more closeness amongst the people. They feel safer in Israel with all of the upheaval and the results of October 7th, where they were raped and slaughtered and kidnapped, and the little kids were slaughtered. It's so heartbreaking, and yet there are happier people because they love each other, they help each other. There's no country in the world that reaches out during problems of other countries. If there's a tsunami anywhere, if there's a massive fires, tornadoes, whatever the issue, the problems of the times, nobody sends instantly uh, volunteers and talented people to help alleviate the aggravation and the troubles and the tragedies and traumas. And yet you wonder, how could they be happy in Israel? And they are, I tell you, they are, because they're always upbeat. They always say, never again, this too will pass. They love each other. They visit with each other. They have an approach to life that includes family and friends and not just TV and internet. So I'm not trying to sell you the virtues of Israel. Uh, they're lucky to benefit from those behaviors that they practice. But I would like, if I could make a difference before I leave this earth, to make it a happier place, a more fulfilling place, a more generous place, more charitable place for every one of us and in our relation with each other. So let me tell you about this book. It's 365 pages with ideas of how to be happy all 365 days of the year. And the feedback I've gotten and keep getting from the biggest people, from the wealthiest people, from all sorts, from every segment of society, where they were lucky enough to acquire this book, either as a result of a gift or enough exposure to find out about it and buy it with their own money. It's, to me, I couldn't do anything more worthwhile with my time, and hopefully it'll have long-term results, positive results. So I just want to, before we start the program, I want to give you one idea of how to be happier. And I did give you one idea already. Be charitable, because there's nothing that's more fulfilling than helping young people grow, helping schools become better, helping young people develop careers, helping friends and relatives and your own children particularly to make it a better world for their own benefit and for the benefit of everybody that they run across or runs across them in their lives. So, and one way is to define some goal in life that falls within these parameters. How to be happy, how to not happy, how to the thrills. That's great, I love the thrills as much as anybody else. But how to get the ongoing thrills of being better than we are. I don't think we're better in any way, and I can't believe we're any better when I see every day there's more wars than there were ever was. More young people being involved in wars and getting killed and maimed and crippled. More guns around uh, where we kill each other unprovoked for any major reason. It's I can't believe it. So I feel guilty that I haven't done enough. Even when I was early in my life, very early in my life, I can't take any of the credit for it. The United States was successful in passing a law that outlawed machine guns. Machine guns are very popular in movies and war pictures because you see our military, if they're on our side particularly, can shoot 100 bullets within 10 minutes and therefore kill a lot of the so-called enemy quickly, and it looks like a wonderful thing. But during that period, I think it was around 1930, 1929, the onset of the Great Depression, we passed a law to outlaw all machine guns, feeling they're not necessary. They only sold and distributed throughout the nations to kill more people faster. But we did it, and it's only now that we have this discussion: should we re-legalize machine guns? Not in so many words, but what is it called? The gun stop.
Bump stock.
Bump stop. Where somebody, if you remember, not so long ago, maybe, I don't even think it's a generation ago, maybe 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, somebody in Las Vegas,
Not even 2017.
2017.
It was during Trump's first term.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
2017. So that's
like 7 years ago.
7 years ago. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Time flies. He took a normal weapon, and by putting on some gizmo called what is it called again?
Bump stock.
Bump stock.
Yep, bump stock.
It's a good name because it bumps off a lot of people at one time. Out of his hotel room, he rented a room at a hotel, and there was some kind of gathering, a concert. I forget what the event was. And out of his window of his hotel, he killed hundreds of people, hundreds, in no time at all, with this assault weapon. It wasn't sold as an assault weapon, but in his terms, it was upgraded to be an assault weapon.
Certainly behaved like one.
That would kill one.
It certainly behaved. It wasn't a machine gun, but it behaved like a machine gun.
And now they're talking about, and they outlawed after that, the bump thing.
Trump, actually, it was under Trump that the ban on bump stocks was put in place. And then just recently, the last couple of weeks, the Supreme Court said, no, it's okay to have a bump stock because it's technically not a machine gun.
Right. And banning it is limiting the Second Amendment, which entitles every man. It doesn't say woman or any African American, because the Second Amendment was written before women or African Americans or other minorities had any rights at all. So we've come a long way, but we keep going backwards in the ways that I would hope we'd never go that way, but we have. So let me tell you what you should do for yourselves and your children. Set goals that have ideals. Set education for them that will make them successful in every way, including hopefully even materially, while they're improving the world and doing good things, and get the gratification from doing good things and recognizing it. As I said, the best money I ever spent is the money I gave away. I'm proud of it, most proud of it, and most gratified by what I see. And I get more thanks, literally. People come up to me and tell me, Mr. Davis, I attend the school you built. It's the best place I've ever been to. I went without paying tuition. My family couldn't afford the tuition. And so nothing makes me happier than that. And these are young people that have come from poor families that are gratified. So for yourselves and for your children, set goals you can accomplish. I promise you, if I made it, anybody can make it. Because I was a dropout of the school at 14. I rebelled. I had no future, and I lifted myself by my own bootstraps because I found a challenge. I found out there was a school that could guarantee success. And once I found out about that school, it changed my life. I worked like crazy. I dedicated my time, my efforts, my entire being to being successful so that I could do great things. I went on, even though it was very difficult to get into Harvard Business School at that time, especially for a young Jewish failure as I was early in life. And it changed my life. And it shows you that if you make up your mind, nothing can stop you. So pick a goal. Don't pick a goal like I would have liked to do. I would have liked to be like either Frank Sinatra or Cary Grant in terms of acting ability. Did I say acting ability? I'd like to get the words out. I can't even get the words out. Singing or acting. Pick something that are within your talents, your natural ability. Don't pick something that you want to be that's impossible. But within the range of possibilities, there's so many good things, so many great things that you can do. I think I told you the story about Einstein's. He went to school in Germany. He was brought up in Germany. And one day a school teacher gave Albert Einstein, young Albert Einstein, envelope to give to his mother. And she said, don't open it, it's for your mother, it's very important. She's going to want to get this. She didn't tell Albert Einstein what it was all about. But anyway, he followed the instructions. He was a well-behaved young boy. And when he gave the letter to his mother read the envelope, and it read something like this. I'm paraphrasing. It said, Mrs. Einstein, I suggest that you take Albert out of this school. He can't handle the work. He needs special attention, special education. special teachers. And if you don't do that, he's going to be a total failure. And so when she read to Einstein, she said, here's what your teacher wrote. Your son is brilliant. He's going to go to the very top of the world. He has a mind that thinks different than others, and that's an asset in this world. And Einstein, from that letter that would put him down and would have taken away his confidence and his faith in himself, gave him such faith and promise in his future that it made all the difference in the world. And the reason we know about it is when he got older and his mother passed away, he found that letter and he couldn't believe what it said, how dire his prospects were. So you can do it. Just make up your mind, and you won't travel and not make up your mind what your destination is, where you want to wind up, because otherwise you go around in circles and who knows where you'd wind up. Some of the worst communities, some of the worst experiences. So we all travel through life with some destination, but you choose the destination. And I want to tell you one other thing to make sure that you buy the book or get it as a gift if you can induce somebody to get it for you. I promise you, if you don't enjoy it and don't find it helpful and uplifting and adding to your happiness, I will not only return your purchase price and you can keep the book, but I'll give you double. You send me the purchase price, the purchase of a slip of your purchase of the book, and I'll give you double your money back. A lot of TV programs say just try it. If you're not happy, just send back the bottle or keep the bottle, and you don't have to pay us anything. We'll return your money. So I know from experience, because I've been offering this deal to anybody that would take it, and I haven't gotten one return back yet. I've got lots of notes of appreciation. So without further ado, I don't want to take up our entire hour, and you have so much to contribute. I really appreciate all the input that you give me, including your criticisms, which initially often hurt me because you don't agree with me. And then I get a lot of new knowledge and new ways of looking at the world. And it makes me more tolerant and more helpful and more smiling. And that's something that's so wonderful, because you can give it away, a smile. It doesn't take anything away from you, and it makes others around you happy. So smile, make everybody around you smile and be happy. And now I want to introduce you to my cohort on this program, who's terrific. I invite him back because he is so terrific. Len Carter. He's a graduate of the same school that I graduated from, one of the greatest schools in the United States and in the world, although I'm not that happy with Harvard these days and their attitude in dealing with the upheaval of anti-Semitism on their campus and so forth. But the business school is still one of the great schools, Harvard Business School. And the undergraduate school is probably great in terms of teaching certain parts of life, but certainly it leaves a lot to be desired in terms of values and in terms of behavioral guidance. So Len is a graduate of Harvard Business School, like me, the top of his class. I graduated with distinction. He graduated with distinction. No easy thing to do at Harvard because they recruit the best people available. And then he went on to earn an engineering degree from Cornell University, one of the great Ivy League schools in the United States. And they have, I think, branches throughout the world. They may even have one in Israel. Do they have one in Israel?
I'm not sure. They may have some. There are partnerships with
I think they did one.
Technion.
I didn't think they did a
I
partnership
think Cornell
in New
Tech.
York.
There's one in New York, Cornell Tech, and
Yeah.
there is a lot of joint work with Technion.
And then he went to another fantastic school, Stanford University on the West Coast, and earned a master's degree in engineering. Wasn't a doctorate, was it?
I quit before that.
He quit before he couldn't take any more letters after his name, like LLD or MD or whatever. And then after that, he went on to Harvard Business School. So his wisdom is I cherish it because he has such good insights, even though he often disagrees with me. I want to kill him, but then I invite him back.
If you killed me, then I couldn't come back. The only way to have me come back is not kill me.
I want to buy the pumps and stuff.
Yeah.
And get rid of them. Anyway, so he prepared some summary subjects that are very prevalent now and in vogue, and unfortunately are not necessarily inclined to make us happy, but we have to deal with these issues, and in order to make a happy world for ourselves, for our families, for our friends, for our loved ones, for all the people on the same ship of earth that we're on. So why don't you
All right, so
bring up
interesting. I think we have a lot to get into this week because tomorrow is I call it the great rematch, the great debate. It was nearly 4 years ago that then President Trump and candidate Biden had their two debates. And I think this time it's interesting.
What was that, 2015 or 2016?
It was 2020.
2020?
2020. Trump, in 2016, he debated Hillary Clinton. And then in 2020, it was Joe Biden.
Well, in 2015 or 16, I forget which, he debated 19.
Right. That was 2016.
19,
that was a Republican debate.
Right. 19 other candidates or
Yes.
aspiring candidates,
Yes.
Republican candidates who wanted to be president and seemed much more likely to have the background and the credentials and were sure winners. And he came along and debated them and has buried most of them, if not all. Jeb Bush was the favorite going in. He came from a family that served. His father, Jeb Bush's father, served as president. His brother had served as president.
But there's one person.
Also he raised a lot of money. He had the most money going in. He was the favorite, and Bush
For sure.
and Trump beat them all.
There was one person on that debate stage in 2016 who is, they say, although I don't think so, on the short list for vice president, Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to be the case because he didn't like him then, and not that he can't change his mind and doesn't change his mind.
Yeah.
I just don't think. I think there's others that he'll choose, but
Rubio is one of the top.
yeah, and
And
he's
he
the one
was a-
on that stage.
Yeah.
He got beat up, but
Right.
never kept coming back for more.
He was definitely very diminished
Yes, but I think
by Trump.
you said something before which is really true, and I think in three ways that we've never seen this happen. And there's three things that we've never seen in this context happen. One, we've never had two people on the debate stage who both were or are president. It's always been an incumbent and a challenger who's never been president, right? Or two never been presidents. But here we have two people who were both president or are president. Biden and Trump were both president. That's never happened before in the debate. Second thing is we've never.
That was in 2020. You're talking about.
No, now.
Oh, now too.
20,
yeah.
Not in 26. In 2020,
They didn't have
Biden was
debate.
never. No, they did, but Biden wasn't president at the hadn't
Right.
ever been president.
Good
Here
point.
you have two people who both were president.
Right.
Second thing is, we are having a debate before we're having a debate between two candidates, neither of which has been nominated as a candidate.
Right. Although that's for sure.
Yes, but
candidate.
But this we're so early into the cycle, right? But never before. I mean, debates have always been in September, October, after they've been officially nominated. We have a debate before we have people who are nominated, which is quite unique. So we have this coming up tomorrow, and just as background, we know that there's been a lot of name calling and finger pointing. Just as a summary, Donald Trump calls Biden a brain dead zombie who can't finish a sentence or navigate off the stage. That's what we call political civility these days. And Biden, says Trump's is an unhinged criminal, who's morally degenerate, reprobate, and out to benefit his friends and unfit to inhabit the Oval Office. So at least we have some fairly,
Glenn, if it wasn't so
firm opinion.
If it wasn't so counterproductive and so tragic and so vicious, it's great entertainment. Because, for example, in 2015 or 2016, his number one challenger, Trump's number one challenger, was Ted Cruz. He actually lasted, of the 19 that ran against him, against Trump for president, he lasted the longest. And Trump diminished him, called him weak, called him...
Lion Ted, I think, was his nickname. Lion Ted? Maybe. Everyone had a nickname, but I think that was his nickname.
No, but he also...
insulted his family, his wife,
his
father.
His father was one of the conspirators to kill John Kennedy. That's the first time that was ever heard of. Nobody knows where he got that.
A fact without evidence.
Yeah, well,
that was a prelude.
But yeah, that's not unusual ever since Trump. And then he called him. He said his wife was ugly. You'd think he'd never talk to him again, never hate him. And he's always now one of the biggest backers for that.
That's the mystery. That's the mystery of the Republican Party, I think, is how many dyed-in-the-wool Republican conservatives who at one point were anti-Trump. I mean, look at even Mitch McConnell. on January 6th, basically said, not even basically said that Trump was responsible for what happened that day, and then now is, saying he's going to vote for him and he's going to support him and they're friends. So, but anyway, so I guess the other thing that's unique about this debate is...
Yeah, but one thing I want to tell you, I don't remember a time when I got up in the morning or any time in the day that I didn't find, even if I got angry, find it entertaining to hear Trump, whether it was on Twitter or one of the social networks, or even the main primary television networks, that he didn't make remarks that, lit up the screen and led to controversy.
Right.
It's been an entertaining year.
Right. Unprecedented.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the word that I think, at least during the Trump administration, was probably used more than any other word. Unprecedented. Never been. This has never happened before in any other.
Also, he's never been constrained or limited in what he says. Because everybody felt that John McCain was a hero because he was captured in the Vietnam War. He was a role model. He wouldn't turn against the country, even though they said our country, even though the Vietnamese said if he cooperates with them, they'd let him out. He spent 5 years in jail. When he came out, his right arm didn't work. And it was everybody's hero. And when they told Trump about John McCain, he said, he's not my hero. My heroes are the ones that
don't get caught.
That didn't get caught. And more than that, his biggest heroes, to some extent, by what he said was, he says, and the ones that didn't serve were probably heroes because they weren't the suckers that lost their lives, and which is contrary to everything that we pay.
Right. And yet somehow
tribute to.
The military still is, and other people who've served in the military are still supporters. So back to the debate, I think another thing that's unique is just how early in the cycle this is. That we're many months away from an election. What do you think about doing that? I mean, should we have debates this early, or does it serve a purpose, or is it just a waste of people's time and resources to have debates this early in the process?
Well, separate from the debates, this is probably the longest pre-nomination, pre-election of any time in our history. And more money has been spent already than in any previous campaign. So we've changed enormously. I don't know if it's really for the better, because like I said, it's entertaining, but it's not the kind of entertainment that is likely to make the country a better place. As a matter of fact, to the best of my knowledge, Trump has no platform, not with the things that he says he wants to introduce that would make the vast majority of Americans happier, better off, more secure. So the debates are early, but Trump's been running since since
2 years.
They stole his cancel the steal or something.
Stop the steal.
Stop the
Yeah.
steal.
I mean, he didn't announce for a couple of years, but yes, he's basically been running since election night when he said, I won.
Yeah, no, it says this is going to be the third time that he's going to win.
Yes, yes. So, so we had this this gauntlet thrown down by Biden, who came out a few weeks ago and said, I'll debate him anytime, anywhere. And then CNN came up with the rules of engagement, the rules of this new debate, given what happened last time with the microphones and with just how uncontrollable, it was for the moderator from Fox to do that, to keep the debate going. So the new rules are no microphones are going to be on while the other candidate's talking. And if we remember from the first Trump debate, that wasn't the case because Trump was interrupting and commenting and jeering Biden throughout the whole time.
He was all over Hillary physically.
Well, that was when he debated Clinton. Yeah, he walked over and went behind her, but
most of them interrupt each other rudely, regularly.
Yeah, well,
he was more imposing. He's taller and bigger. And made a big impression.
So they're going to turn off the mics when the other person is not supposed to be talking. When the other person's talking, no live studio audience. So it's just going to be the studio and CNN. 2 commercial breaks, but the candidates won't be allowed to talk to their teams or staff during that time, and they're not allowed any props or notes or anything, and only going to have pencil, paper, and a bottle of water.
Some of the talk show hosts have said they should turn off the microphones
for both of them.
During a whole hour.
So it's you wonder these rules. CNN came up with the rules. Obviously, CNN is a left of center type of news organization. Who do you think they benefit more? A Biden debate or a Trump debate?
I'm interested to see how much it's going to be adhered to.
Right. Although, Trump, if they turn off his mic, if he talks, you won't hear him. He'll have to yell loud enough that it gets picked up by the other mic, which maybe he'll do. But the last time,
he'll walk over and right on top of his opponent, and
he could.
And speak into his.
He could. That could happen. No live audience. Trump plays to an audience. He gets oxygen from an audience. So when I first heard the rules, I thought, this is going to be bad for Trump because he's not going to be able to interrupt him. He's not going to, he audiences, ooh and ah and jeer and clap, and he plays to that. When you watch him in the rallies, it's all, and he tends to.
He'll still be able to make a sour.
He can still make faces and yes, but it's different when it's not that interaction, and he draws on that, but on the other side, a live audience is a temptation for him to go off script, off the reservation, and so when I first heard the rules, I'm thinking, this is bad for Trump because he's going to be contained. But then, listening to other people and thinking about it, they say, no, that's actually good for Trump because his like the second debate, which he had with Biden, where he was much more on script. And so he is his own worst enemy. And if he's contained, even if by the fact that the microphone's off or there's no live audience, he can't go off script. He can't, make those remarks where they'll be heard. And so that really hurt him in the first debate. And if under the rules he can't do that, then that's actually going to help him because he won't be able to do these things that hurt him the last time.
To the extent that he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah, which, I mean, the first debate really showed that. And so now I'm thinking, I agree with some of these other people who say, no, this is actually probably assuming that, he doesn't, like you say, walk over to the other podium and talk into the microphone, which, I don't know, but I don't think he's going to do that. I mean, when he was at his podium with the microphone on, it was easy to, just make comments as Biden was talking. But now, if he wants to be heard, he's literally going to have to scream or go over to the other podium, which I don't know if he's going to do.
I think he will. I think he'll
talk just loud enough to be able to be heard.
No, if he doesn't get to say what he wants to say, or beat up on something that the hosts are asking, he's going to attack the hosts.
But you won't hear him because the microphone will be off.
Yeah, but he's going to make that. They cut me off. See, when he gets on the next.
But at the time,
I'll say, look, there's a bias. It always, and that's what makes it interesting because you can't cut him off. The judge in the trial in New York hit him with violations, a gag order, which was frightening because he named the judge's daughters because the judge is a terrible guy, and he gave the address where she lives, and so he doesn't adhere to the limitations. The interesting thing also is the last, I don't know if it's debates or did they have a debate yet? Biden and Trump?
No, not this cycle. This is the first time for this election. They debated twice in 2020.
I think they had something together. But whoever hosted the other ones, like if it was Fox.
Yeah. Well, it was Fox the first time, and the second time.
No, and it only appeared on that specific.
Right.
The one who hosted.
Right.
So in order to, the other stations commented afterwards.
Right.
And took excerpts, but
right.
This time it's going to be on
CNN and ABC.
But it's going to be on not only on ABC, MSNBC, Fox.
Oh, Fox is going to carry it too.
It's too much of a. It'll probably get a turnout something like the Super Bowl.
So, although they've had a few weeks to, prepare for this upcoming interaction, and this has given each one of them a chance for sort of a pre-debate messaging. And, it was interesting to see originally Trump, was playing up his belief on how, cognitively impaired President Biden is and how he's going to be such a terrible debate performer. But now, in just recent days, he's kind of changed tunes. And I think because he's realized that, if you set the bar really low for your opponent, then they don't have to really perform too high to be, to perform well. So I think that's, why he's sort of changed that, but going forward, they have to think about what they're going to say, how they want to set the stage for the other person. Let's talk about debate strategy. So what do you think? What do you think each one has to do?
Incidentally, contrary to what was expected with all that pre-criticism of Biden before the State of the Union, at the State of the Union delivery
Right,
by
I think,
Biden,
yeah,
great plaudits.
I think that's part of the thought here, and why Trump changed is because people had such a low expectation going into the State of the Union, and then he did okay, fine. Then it was like, wow. And so now they don't want to set the bar so low that if Biden, he is an experienced politician. He's run for president several times. He's debated a lot of times. So he can debate. He is a politician. But what do you think each of them? Because the stakes, although they say that debates don't really move the needle much, they can. You can put your foot in your mouth or do something that
What do you mean?
becomes
Was
rememberable.
Nixon.
Yeah, he was sweating, and he was
No, they said
against
on
Kennedy.
radio, Nixon won because you just heard his voice.
Yeah,
on television,
Kennedy.
he wasn't shaved.
Right, and he was sweating and nervous, and so
it could make a big difference.
So in this case, what do you think the two of them have to do right, and what do they each need to avoid?
Well,
Biden has to avoid falling,
or
walking the wrong way, which
walking into the wall.
He has. I mean, he has to avoid, any sort of verbal faux pas, which can come back to
or
her.
falling off the stage.
I think Trump, what really hurt him in the first debate was just, being unhinged, and in the second debate, when he calmed down, he actually did much better. When he just focused on messages instead of
debate,
but
against the 19 other more qualified candidates at that time, a lot of people felt that Trump just went into the race for president to raise his image and get more business for the Trump organization. So he wasn't hurt by all this nastiness.
In the Republican debate, yeah. I'm talking about in the debate specifically against Biden, when it was one-on-one in the Wallace, when Fox hosted that first debate, and Trump wouldn't let Biden finish a sentence before he interrupted him. That hurt him. And I think this time I'm sure has been coached, to just, because Trump needs to show, I think, that he can be presidential again and not just, be, angry, so I don't think he's going to be, which brings us to like some issues. Do you think, in terms of strategy, do you think it's better for each candidate to try to highlight what they did right, or attack what the other person did wrong? I mean, you've always said people tend to vote against the other guy rather than for this guy. So maybe with that as a theory, it makes more sense for the candidates to go on the negative attack instead of Biden saying, this is what I did right. He says this is what Trump did wrong, and Trump too saying, instead of what I did right, point to what Biden has done wrong. So I'm sure that, in terms of issues, they're going to, the two big Trump issues are going to be inflation and immigration, and that's hard for Biden to
And
defend, I think.
also his genius ability in getting something passed that nobody could get past for 50 years, getting rid of choice.
I don't think he's going to tout that. I mean, it's like I think,
But he has.
I don't, but I mean, I think
He makes that a statement that one of the big things that he's done is the three people he put on the Supreme
right. But
Court.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, he shouldn't, but
He shouldn't.
he may. I don't know.
think
We'll
the
see.
Republicans. I think the Republicans won it for the Democrats last time because that became the major
Right.
issue.
I mean, if you're
I still believe that's a major
if you're
issue.
Biden, you certainly want to make that an issue. You want to make January 6th an issue. You want to make Roe v. Wade an issue.
I don't think there's another issue as strong as Roe v. Wade.
But if you're Trump, you want to attack. You don't want to say what you did, particularly that, because it is a divisive issue, and that not everyone is
But he
as
keeps
support.
saying it. He said it this week.
I know. I don't see. But I think the smarter thing to do is to attack Biden on things where there's more dissatisfaction, like high prices.
Yeah.
And that's hard for Biden to defend against because, he's going to make the economic case, the factual case, which is unemployment is low, and perhaps even lower than it was under Trump's administration, and inflation is coming down. But that doesn't mean price level comes down, right? Just the rate of prices going up subsides. So, and Trump comes back and says, what do you mean inflation's coming down? Has anyone been to the grocery store recently? Is your grocery bill less than it was 4 years ago? You don't know what you're talking about. And, that's hard. And it's hard for, Biden. He's economically correct, right? If you look at the numbers, yes, unemployment's lower, but, is that helping you pay your rent? It's like what Reagan said against Carter. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And that was a very powerful message. And that's basically what killed Carter in the 1980 election. Yeah. Because most people, when asked that rhetoric question, said no. And so what Trump's going to say, and maybe even make the same case, because it was what, the almighty Republican of Republicans made, Ronald Reagan, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Trump can make the same question, pose the same question. Is your family economically better off today than it was 4 years ago? And for a lot of people, maybe the very rich, because they've had 4 years of the Trump tax cuts, and thanks to that, maybe they are better off. But, for a lot of people, the answer is no. I mean, rents are, unaffordable. Food has become, and other things in the consumer basket, insurance, rent, food, all these things have been high. Even Trump will also be able to say gasoline was low. It's like, so that's a kitchen table issue.
Yeah.
That's and it's what James Carville said in the 92 or 90s. When was 92 or 96? He was an advisor to Clinton. He invented that it's the economy, stupid, right? And it is. It's arguing about.
Well, Reagan, there's nobody like Reagan in terms of dealing with issues verbally, because the same issue that both these guys have now, Trump and Biden, that they're old. Reagan was stuck with that issue and he made it. Even the guy he was debating,
Mondale.
was it Mondale
Yeah.
or
Walter
Bush?
Mondale.
Not Bush the father.
No.
So Mondale even laughed because
Yeah.
he says, "I won't hold your lack of
Youth and inexperience against you, right?
youth and
Because it was in the second debate. The first debate, Mondale raised the issue of age, and it became and he, but by doing that, he made age an issue,
yeah.
and so it was hurting Reagan. At the time, Reagan was even that, it was a 73 at the
I
time,
know.
and that's
Yeah.
then that was like, and at the time he was the oldest president at the time, but that's like almost a decade less
I
than
think
these.
even till this day, he's the oldest serving president.
No,
Who was older?
Biden.
Oh, Biden's older.
Yeah,
than
and so was Trump. Trump's 78 now, so he was 76 when he left. I think he was older than.
And how old was it?
Biden's 81
No,
now.
how old was Reagan when he finished? Because when
Oh,
Reagan
maybe
finished,
he was 70.
when Reagan was finished, he had
Maybe
Alzheimer's.
79. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, but they were close. But not. Biden's definitely the oldest. Yes, he started to show signs of dementia, but and so Mondale, made it an issue,
Yeah.
and then it wasn't. It was Reagan who turned it around and made it a non-issue. So that was a very effective comeback that he had made. But I think if Trump can stick to that narrative, because it's something that people understand. Kitchen table issues are always something people can understand. Even more than the border. You can talk about how immigration, how the border has hurt the country, but unless you're living in a city like New York, in the city where you see what's happening and you see these migrant shelters and you see people on the streets, but for the most part of the country, it's not something that really on a day-to-day affects them. It's not a kitchen table issue, so.
Yeah, but many of the
But
things
your car insurance and your grocery bills are. And so
many of those higher prices emanate from behavior that Trump introduced. Right now he's talking about putting
more tariffs
large enough that he could eliminate the income tax. It's going to be,
there was a time,
100%.
There was a time before there was a federal income tax. We didn't always have a federal income tax. Before there was a federal income tax, the only, the sources of revenue for the government were basically excise taxes, tariffs, things like that. And
also by supporting business, he supported greed. And so they get away with, there hasn't been a lawsuit brought against any company for raising prices in order, because that could put a stamp on it. So
I mean, if you're Biden, you have to make the case, which is tough, that inflation. Yeah, I mean, inflation. Well, and it's not even Trump's fault. I mean, a lot of inflation was from the supply chain disruptions and things from the pandemic. A lot of it would have happened whoever was president, and inflation was not limited to the U.S. So if it really is Biden's fault, then somehow Biden managed to cause inflation all around the entire world. Somehow,
the U.S. has
probably lower than other countries. So how is that? How is Bidenomics responsible for the entire world's inflation? Trump would say, yes, it is.
Trump gives Biden credit sometimes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's a tough sell. I mean, he sometimes being right doesn't mean it works. It's like Trump. I'd rather be in Trump's shoes, because even though I'd be wrong to say inflation, or it's a case that people can understand.
Yeah, not only
Your
that,
grocery bills,
the
your
guys,
rent,
the
your
guy,
mortgage, interest rates, right? Interest rates were really
right,
low
right.
back in my administration. Now they're so high you could barely afford a
No,
mortgage.
look, the buck stops here. The guy who's in office gets the credit or the blame. So even though it may be that Trump stimulated the inflation or added to it, Biden is suffering that
You
outcome.
know, so well, we've used a lot of our time, so let's just end with one other question. Just like, what do you what when the 90 minutes is over, and then the talking heads start afterwards about who won and who this or who that. What do you think defines a win? Like what would either of these two guys do in your mind that you would say Trump won or Biden won? I mean, what 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 do they have to do that you think
I
you
think
and
it's
then
easier to
the
answer that for Biden because the big issue that Trump has been effective and Republicans have been effective is showing actual video of Biden going out the wrong door
yeah,
or
some of it
or
edited, but yes.
yeah, and also making statements that didn't seem to.
Right. I mean, he does stutter because but he's stuttered his
Yeah,
whole life.
but
It's not
what does make
that doesn't stop him from
Trump
using it
Trump
as
Trump
a
makes the most stupidest speeches. He made a speech the other day about if he's on a ship and it had batteries and the batteries are so heavy and the ship was going down but there was a shark out there, so he would stay on the ship. I mean, unconnected
and
to
what would happen
anything,
to the shark?
unconnected to anything. So but he gets away with
Yeah,
things
that
that
is true.
nobody else could ever get away with. Look,
And
he's
then
been
everyone says, "Oh, he was just kidding."
no. Look how effective he's been. You know, the Supreme Court hasn't ruled yet on whether presidents
Immunity,
have
yeah.
complete immunity,
Yep.
but Trump has already won that because it's a victory
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
could still be
yeah,
president,
yeah.
run for president.
And it won't be tried
There,
before the
there
election
won't be
anyway. Yeah.
there won't be any, and the one that he's been found guilty of so far hasn't made a big difference.
Yep. I mean, that's something Biden can certainly highlight too, is that technically Trump is a convicted felon.
Yeah, no, but he says
Hasn't been sentenced yet, but we'll
it
see
doesn't
what
matter.
happens.
Trump makes it a plus that it's there was no case. It's a fraud. It's a
Yeah.
this. It's a that.
Witch hunt. Yep.
Uh, I'm taking I'm taking it on your behalf.
Yeah, yeah. True.
He's a genius, in terms of.
Well, it's certainly must see TV. So a week, we'll be back next week with hopefully a guest to recap, rehash, and review the the prior week's debate. So thanks for having me
Tune in
on
next
again.
week. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
All right. Thank you for having me, and
Thank you for joining, and it's always a delight to have
thank
you.
you.
And thank you all for tuning in and being cohorts in making this podcast successful. Thank you all. I love you, and I wish every one of you happiness, true happiness, genuine happiness, uplifting happiness, inspirational happiness, happiness that makes others happy. Smile, be happy. Don't worry, be happy, although that's hard to advice to give. Don't worry, the world in such upheaval, and especially if you're Jewish, it's we don't get any credit, the Jewish people, for all the contributions we make to the Western world and to the world in total. I mean, if you take out four Jews from the history of the Western world, particularly, you take out, I guess it's Abraham considered Jewish. If you consider Abraham as one of the Jews, but even beyond Abraham, if you go to Jesus and Einstein,
Freud.
with the atom bomb, Freud who said, "Lay down on my couch, I'll see if I could help you," and just unbelievable.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for being with me. I love you all. Have a great week. Have a happy week. Make up your mind you're going to be happy. It's all up to you. Don't let the outside factors influence your mood. Make up your mind you're going to be happy, no matter what. And you will be. So have a great week. Have a great every day of your life. Each day should be better and more fulfilling, more thrilling, more rewarding than every previous day. God bless you. I love you. Have a great week. And this is Morty Davis, the voice of wisdom. Happy to join all of you, the true voices of wisdom. God bless you. Have a great week. I look forward to being with you a week from tonight. Bye.